George Russell has found himself in a very delicate situation in Mercedes, as Antonelli has been announced as his teammate from 2025 onwards, and Wolff's comments about Verstappen joining the team once the new regulations kick in have put even more shade on the young Brit's future with the team. Obviously, there will be a fierce battle between Russell and Antonelli as to who deserves the seat more, but there is one thing that many people seem to not pay enough attention to: the year in which Russell's contract ends with Mercedes, and it might be part of Wolff's big plan to make a mastermind duo of Verstappen and Antonelli. If so, have Russell's days in Mercedes been numbered already? And where does his future lie, if not with the Silver Arrows? It's safe to say that Russell's move to Mercedes, while initially denied by Hamilton, who wanted to have his buddy Bottas remain next to him in 2022, was to be expected after 3 years in the underperforming car of Williams. And the young Brit did not disappoint a single bit. He managed to outscore his teammate Hamilton in the first year with the most troublesome car that Mercedes has built in their existence in the sport, the W13. But once the car started to improve in performance, so did Russell's pace start to diminish. Be that as it may, Hamilton's move to Ferrari has gifted Russell with the position that he would have likely wanted to earn on the track, which is to be the natural leader of the team and not the inherited one. Regardless, it would be quite safe to assume that, next to Antonelli, Russell will have the role of the mentor, as the Brit himself said that he doesn't mind providing thorough feedback to the young Italian driver as he bolsters through the ranks of Mercedes. Speaking about his new teammate, Russell went on to say, "When you are thrown into cold water, you learn faster. From my experience, I can say that I learned more in my first year alongside Lewis than in the 3 years in Williams. Every driver who has won championships in their career is fast, and you can place Kimi in the top team in his first year, just like Lewis once did at McLaren. Kimi will learn from that. Either you have the speed or you don't. Kimi has it." Furthermore, Russell went on to say that he is not afraid of having the best of the best as his teammate, which was an answer to how would he feel if Verstappen was next to him instead of Antonelli, who we all saw how hard he pushed the limits throughout his limited time he had in Monza in FP1. Be that as it may, even though the session ended with a crash, the contract being announced right after this confidence-breaking event goes to show that Mercedes have a lot of trust in Antonelli, maybe even more for Russell's liking. When you do have a pair of teammates like Russell and Antonelli, you should expect one thing: intra-team fights. Lewis leaving for Ferrari did not stop him from pushing his teammate as hard as possible and even winning one more race than him so far in 2024. But in the greater part of the season, the 7-time world champion was downbeat about the performance of the car, and it's safe to say that he didn't expect it to be one that will compete for wins. The scenario will be different once Kimi sits in the W16, and one thing that Russell can expect is to have a nemesis who will sit right next to him in the garage and pose a threat, not only for the championship fight, but for his seat in Mercedes as well. This is something that Nico Rosberg has commented on and elaborated on this situation. The 2016 champion believes that there will definitely be a fight between Russell and Antonelli as to who gets to keep the seat beyond 2026. Furthermore, Rosberg said, "George is not safe at all because Toto still wants Max. He will try again in 2026 because give up does not appear in Toto's vocabulary. If Max does become available, and I do think it's a possibility, then it's a shootout between George and Kimi next year. It's a lot of pressure for George, and he has everything to lose. He should be the one ahead at the team internally, because Kimi is 18 and he is completely new and in a full pressure situation, so it's not an easy situation for George." It wouldn't be the first time in F1 to see a young gun outperform the man who is poised to be the leader of the team, as we all saw what happened with Ricciardo when Verstappen joined Red Bull in 2016. A generational talent like the 3-time world champion is only born every once in a while, and Wolff didn't want to waste any more time losing Kimi in the same way that he lost Verstappen back in the day. So, if we are to believe the words of the high-profile engineers in Mercedes, Kimi is the real deal and the man who is set to win the championship at the earliest possible shot. And apart from Rosberg, it seems like Martin Brundle shares the same belief that Wolff will do anything in his power when it comes to luring Verstappen to his camp. Because, similar to Antonelli, when you have the opportunity to sign a generational talent, especially one who has won so many championships and races at such a young age, it would be silly to not go for it. Elaborating further on this stance, Brundle said, "Clearly, Toto is hugely invested personally in Kimi, and with him making these overtures to Max, I think George will occasionally be looking over his shoulder, wondering where he stands. But he is the Mercedes team leader at a time where they seem to be really coming good again, and if you have a future-proof pairing in George and Antonelli, and they are getting the job done, you don't need to spend north of £50 million on another driver." This is definitely not boding well for Russell, who had his fair share of struggles throughout 2024 when he was expected to lead the field. A couple of cases can be mentioned in Canada as well as Monza, where the driver's mistakes have cost him a lot of positions. Furthermore, when he was pressured in close racing with Hamilton in Silverstone, it was the 7-time world champion who prevailed victorious, and it didn't help that Russell's car did not finish the race due to a mechanical problem either, in what could have easily been at least a P4 position. Be that as it may, Russell knows what's at stake, but Wolff's comments on Verstappen are something that he needs to keep a close eye on. And when talking about this in a greater extent, the Austrian team principal of Mercedes said, "I got nearly caught out by the Lewis situation, but I have not entertained any discussions with any drivers when giving it all from the team to make it a success. And this is why all of our focus in the team is on George and Kimi. There is no discussion with Verstappen. There are no second thoughts about what we're doing in 2026 because now it's about 2024 and 2025. And if flirting outside happens, then these guys will know it at the same time when we have those discussions." But what is also very important for Russell and Antonelli in this entire situation is that, as of now, the Austrian doesn't feel that there will be a shootout for the Mercedes seat beyond 2025 amid talks that Verstappen could leave Red Bull and seek for a better environment for his driving skills. Continuing on this, Wolff said, "No, I don't think there will be a shootout between our drivers. I very much hope we go a long time with these two. It is clear you always pick the best drivers, but as it stands, this is our lineup. We have had an open channel over the last few years with Verstappen, sometimes discussing more, sometimes discussing less, but it never came to putting terms together. We have a commitment to our drivers to give it our best effort, so for the moment, it is a pause. Of course, you don't need to be a genius to understand that Wolff will do anything in his power to bring Verstappen, if the Dutchman is available beyond 2025. Because, as all things stand, the next season will remain as it is right now, and the Austrian team will try to pick up the shattered pieces from the ground that have been caused by a variety of reasons, including the internal team power struggle revolving around Horner. Russell, on the other hand, has welcomed Verstappen as his teammate before Kimi Antonelli was announced, and his goal is loud and clear. There is no other way to prove that you are the best of the best than having that challenger sitting next to you in the garage. And when welcoming this challenge, which might not even come to reality because of Wolff's plans for Antonelli, Russell elaborated, "I'd be all for it. You know, coming into Mercedes in 2022 off the back of Lewis's legendary years and victories, that was a huge task for anybody jumping into a team where he's been for so long. I believe in myself, and you need to go up against the best in the same machinery and show what you've got. So I feel that having Lewis as my teammate for the past 3 years has helped a lot. And we push each other every single week, and I think it's fair to say that. So I welcome Max. I want to go up against the best. Everybody wants to prove what they've got, so just make it happen." With all this in mind, do you think that Wolff will go for Verstappen in 2026 onwards, despite his comments that all of his effort is being put into Russell and Antonelli being the next champions from Mercedes? Or do you think that Hamilton's move to Ferrari has made Wolff a bit less personal and emotional and more about the business? Let us know in the comments below.